Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm here with Coach Mary Nawabi. I'd like to introduce you guys to her. She's been here in the United States since 1992 as an immigrant from Afghanistan, and she studied communications and marketing at the Cal State East Bay in Hayward. Graduated the year 2000 since she had a successful real estate career and moved on and wanted to find out what her true passion was. She found that by helping others, that's what really makes her happy. That led her to Tony Robbins and ultimately studying at the Robbins Madonnas Institute. And then last year she also finished her degree or certification, I should say, with the John C. Maxwell Group on leadership. So without further ado, Mary, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you. This is my partner, Sam Parvis, and we're also partners for life as well. We both decided to do this show as a contribution to those that are either maybe stuck or don't know how to treat their relationships, to experience that to the maximum level, and or also maybe they're stuck with something or they want more out of a relationship and they just want some answers. So this way, we offer some of those coaching strategies I use in my business through the show so it could help a lot of people.
Awesome, Mary. I know that we were walking one day and thought, hey, we always talk about this stuff. Wouldn't it be great if we shared it with the rest of the world? And that's where we are. So today's show we thought we'd first start out with was what makes partners in life drift apart. That's husbands and wives, I would imagine, or lifelong partners. In the beginning, everybody's all gung-ho about the relationship. As time wears off, things can get a little weird.
Yep.
So why does that happen, Mary? Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. First of all, because we first have the experience going through it ourselves. We've been together for almost 25 years next week.
Wow.
And so obviously you go through so many ups and downs in life, and at the beginning of any relationship, obviously it's something fresh, exciting. Everybody's excited to be together, and so your mental threshold and emotional threshold is a lot higher, so you accept each other more. You're nice. Obviously it's kind of the honeymoon period.
Sure.
And what really happens is, as we stay in a relationship longer, we tend to take each other for granted.
That's right.
So why does that happen? And that happens for a variety of reasons. The two main reasons, one is that, our personality, the way we are, we want our partners to be just like ourselves. So for example, if I'm a perfectionist, I'm organized, I like my setting, my home to be in a certain way.
And I like to be messy.
And right?
That could be a problem.
That's right. So when you come home from work, see that, the dishes are dirty or the shoes everywhere or clothes, and it's just not how your brain works. So you get into conflict, obviously. And those smaller, issues turn into bigger issues, because what happens? You're tired, you're in a bad mood, and then the last thing you want to do is clean up, and then you blame your partners for not.
You start building resentment.
Exactly, right. And then so you start to get into arguments a lot, and you start to nag a lot, and what happens? Before you know it, you start to shift apart, and when you shift apart, having that resentment, it kills romance.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Obviously, when you're married, as long as you and I have been married.
Yeah.
And you have kids, you have other obligations, you have your work, you have everything that's about you, and in adding another layer or another element, it takes a toll on the marriage, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Mary, you said there was two things, and tell us what the second thing is.
The second thing is that creates marriages or relationships to fall apart or drift away is not having values to be in line with each other. Now let's face it, both individuals come from different background, different upbringing, different psychology, and different values. So often having different values create a lot of conflict. For example, if let's say I value children a lot and my partner does not value children, this is going to create a big problem, because this is something that you truly value and stays in your heart. You can't change that. So then you both have to be on the same page, because these are called values, are your foundation items.
Yeah.
That you cannot change those about a person.
I know. And it's difficult because one of the things that it takes a lot. When I was younger, I used to hear people say, "Oh, well, I need to do some soul searching or find out who I am," and I never really understood what that meant.
Yeah.
Find yourself. I mean, where'd you go? So, I think a lot of times what people need to understand is, oftentimes people don't know what they value within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're going to look for a mate, it's even harder to know what you want, to even understand what somebody else that you're looking for, what sort of values should they have.
Right.
Now, I think people intuitively get an idea, well, I'm like this and they're like that. You ask these sort of questions, do you want to have kids, and do you value your family, or whatever that may be.
Right.
If you're really religious or something like that, you start to dance around the questions. That's your gut trying to tell you probably
What you really value.
what you value. So I think it's important. What a great point it is. So how should people really find out what are the things that they value? I mean, how do you come to that?
Yeah, as one of the strategies I work in my coaching practice, when people want to find the right partner, or even think about that the partner they're with is the right partner, is that I ask them to write down 50 things that they want in a person. And then from that 50, then we narrow down to 5. And it's amazing because one of the first things people always write down is about someone's looks, or, they want someone who's, everybody has on their list, they want someone who's funny, who's, charming.
Well, you got that one, sweetheart.
I got lucky, right? And then that's superficial, that's what they think on the surface, that's what they want. But we really come down to, then I ask them, narrow this down to 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
People find it very difficult to narrow down to 5. And that's when they narrow down to 5 items that they truly value about life and about their partner, then those are we call non-negotiating items.
Okay.
That, for example, you say, I want my partner to support me for my career. I want someone who's honest. I want someone who values children. And those are the values that keeps a relationship last a lifetime.
Okay, makes sense. So it's really important to have values that are in line. And I have my personal theory is that if you're going to have 5 things that are really important to you, that you should, obviously, the more things you have in common with your partner, the better it is. So if you have, the best scenario would be if you had a compatibility of 5 out of 5,
right,
or 4 out of 5, or 3 out of 5. I think anything less than a 3, that relationship might be in trouble. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like I think some of the items that you need to focus on is like, children, work, in terms of like what kind of support you need, in terms of religious beliefs, in terms of like family beliefs. If you were brought up with a lot of family values, I've got couples that one is brought up with a lot of family values, the other is not, and they're constantly clashing because one constantly have families over and the husband is having a problem because he wants to be all by himself.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
in the man cave.
in the man cave. And I think what we could talk about is briefly, you and I went through that process ourselves.
Sure.
We got together when I was 20, and obviously intuitively we both love children and family, and that's what's been really keeping us together for a long time.
Sure.
But it went through a period of time that we both kind of didn't know what we wanted, and we thought we wanted this thing, but then deep down we really wanted to still have kids, family, be together. And that part, when we went through that period, we kind of got drifted apart.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, there was a time when I actually thought you and I were going to get separated.
Right.
And it happened probably right there. I don't know when people are supposed to have their midlife crisis, but I certainly experienced it right at 39, 40, and I'm 44, soon to be 45.
Yes.
So I can totally relate to that. I don't know. And I would imagine guys in my age group might feel that, or they might feel it later on. Sometimes people, I think, feel what I felt probably when their kids go to school or leave.
Yeah.
However, because you and I got, had our first child when we were in our 30s, that took probably a little bit more time. But typically if you got married in your 20s, the kids start leaving around 18 years from that, it's about 38, 40.
Right, right.
And then the marriage can see some problems. Do you ever see that happening?
See happening what?
People having issues, when their kids leave, and
They
that
go
was like
to-
the main thing that kept them together, and then suddenly it's like the kids are going off to college.
Oh,
And
absolutely, absolutely. I had a couple that I was coaching a couple of weeks ago, and they said we are together for the sake of children. And I said, great. What happens when your children grow up and go to college? Then what's gonna keep you together? And they were both quiet for a minute.
right,
And that was a moment that they had to realize that they either have to stay together or there's time to get separated, because you can't be together for the sake of kids, right?
okay. Okay, Mary. So in conclusion, you said two things that drive marriages apart. One is personality, and the second thing is the personality. Besides the personality, I should say, I reiterate that, is the values that we share. Is that correct?
Right, or don't share.
Or
Yeah.
don't share.
Right.
So tell us, once we figure out what our personality traits are, and then the value package is, or the value relationship that we have, what are the next steps for us to take?
Well, great. Well, some solutions to offer for people that find themselves that they have different personalities and they clash is, step number one is, you can change someone's personality. What I mean by that, if you're organized, you're organized. If you're disorganized, you're disorganized. And that's okay, that's who you are. The person having problems with the partner, you need to accept your partner for who he or she is. You can't expect that person to be just like yourself. Because what's gonna happen is two people being the same way, it's no fun. It doesn't create any, passion, right? So opposite attracts. It's okay to have two people with two different personalities, but make sure that you both share the same values, because the values that are going to keep people together. And having two different type of personality, one being organized, the other disorganized, just using that as an example.
One being funny and the other one not.
Right? One being serious, one being total funny. It's one person is spontaneous.
Sure.
The other person needs more timing to prepare. So it's okay. You just have to accept that person and compromise on the items that are negotiable. And just, you can't compromise on the items which are values that are non-negotiable items.
That's true.
If you're a lady and you want your husband to be dedicated and be there for your children, then make sure that you communicate that. Say, this is a non-negotiable item. You either do this or there's no relationship.
Sure.
Or for ladies, I know for ladies it's important for husbands to have a solid job to provide, because security is a huge thing for ladies. And make sure that you both communicate and understand each other's needs, because that is a need for the lady, that the husband to go out and provide.
Security.
Yes. And if that person is not able to provide, then there's some psychological,
No money, no honey.
That's about it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, super. So catch us next time on our next show. Please subscribe to this show. Share it with your friends on Facebook. And definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you'll be able to see this further if you want to review the notes. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, samparwiz@gmail.com. We look forward to your questions and comments. If you have any topics you'd like to talk about for us, we'll definitely do it anonymously, and we'll come up with scenarios. We'll make nice fake names for you, so that we think that this would be an interesting show to talk with people and kind of pick your brain, because it's always fun to talk to you, Mary.
Yeah, absolutely. And to future pace you, we're going to have for the next 7 weeks to have the show specifically talk about love and relationships. So on the next coming up show, we're going to talk about the female and male energy and how much that actually could create, for people to come close together, or creates distance between
I didn't
people.
even know that.
Yes, and then after that, obviously, we'll have some other topics that are going to be very exciting. But right now, we're focusing on love and relationship, because that's why we're here, because we worked on the love and relationship, and we constantly work on it because it's work in progress. We don't expect people to be perfect, but as long as we work on it and make it work for us.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Till next time.